few more people signing onto the room. Before we get started, though, I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have simultaneous Spanish interpretation available. If you look at the bottom bar of Zoom, you should be able to see a button that is for interpretation, and you should be able to navigate to the Spanish channel if you need that. I'll just ask the Spanish interpreters who are on the call right now if you want to just translate my instructions real quick on the English channel so people know where to go.
Para la sesión del día de hoy contamos con interpretación simultánea. En un momento va a ser activada. Al fondo de la pantalla van a poder ver un icono que parece un globo terráqueo. Simplemente hay que hacer clic en ese icono y les va a dar la opción de escuchar la conversación que vamos a tener el día de hoy en español. Y pueden tener la opción también de silenciar el audio original. Repito, todavía no aparece en la pantalla, pero en un momento lo van a activar. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. And well, welcome everybody to the Paid Family and Medical Leave Training for the Care Grant Program. My name is David Nelson. I'm the Deputy Director in our Office of Strategic Outreach and Partnerships. This
El
presentation today will
Outreach and
cover
Partnerships.
information on temporary disability insurance, family leave insurance, and job protection, training on unemployment insurance and work rights, and the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights will be forthcoming over the next 6 to 8 weeks. We will be sending out calendar invites to those meetings shortly. For this presentation today, we will cover the Paid Family and Medical Leave Program, like I said, and we have about 40 or 50 slides we want to get through. We try to give you all the information up front for the program, and then we'll make sure you will have about 30 minutes at the end for Q&A at the end of the presentation. In the meantime, though, if we're going through the content and you have a question, feel free to just use the chat function to drop it in there. Like I said, we'll also make time at the end where you can come off mute, but if something sparks a question during the presentation, feel free to just drop it in the chat and we'll address it at the end. As I mentioned earlier, this presentation will be recorded and we will be sharing out the slides. We could also share out the transcript too for folks who need it. Please note that these slides, though, are for internal training purposes for us to train you on the programs and for you to train your staff. There's a separate set of slides that are meant for the public. There's just some content at the end that is more geared towards information for grantees than it is for the members of the public. So just be mindful of that when we're sharing out the slide decks, which ones are labeled for like internal purposes and which ones are labeled for external purposes. We'll be also sharing out the slides in English and Spanish. And we have a bunch of materials available on the Care Grant website on the paid family and medical leave programs in several different languages. And we also have employer-focused materials as well. Most of these slides today are geared towards worker outreach and education. However, we do have employer-focused slides too if you need to do if you have employer-based outreach as well. So you'll see these slides are geared towards if you're applying, when applying. That's how these slideshow is oriented today. Um, I'll ask that you all just remain on mute throughout the presentation. And again, just use that chat function if you have questions or comments during our presentation, and we'll make sure to address it at the end. Okay, so the paid family and medical leave programs are for workers who need time to care for themselves or to give care to others. So in the United States, we are the only advanced economy without a national paid family and medical leave policy. The state of New Jersey is one of a few states that has one. I believe there's about 12 or 13 states that also have paid family and medical leave programs. So the New Jersey paid family and medical leave supports our health. It supports the health of our families while advancing economic security, productivity at work, and gender equality. These programs don't only help workers, but they also support businesses as well. They support the health of employees. They boost employee morale and job satisfaction. It improves employee retention, which reduces turnover cost for employers. It increases labor force participation, especially for women, and allows small businesses that can't afford private plans to compete with larger organizations that are able to provide those benefits to their workers. So as I mentioned, we refer to the program as New Jersey paid family and medical leave. We know programs and rights can be confusing for folks. We often hear people refer to it casually as FMLA, but FMLA is only a federal law that protects jobs when you need to take leave. In reality, it is much more nuanced, the paid family and medical leave program, when we use that term. So, New Jersey paid family and medical leave is made up of the temporary disability and family leave insurance programs, which are the cash benefit programs that the New Jersey Department of Labor administers. These programs do not provide job protections in and of themselves, but workers could be protected under various state and federal laws. We'll cover those laws at a high level here today, but we hope to also bring in our colleagues at the Division of Civil Rights later on in the grant year to provide an optional training that gives you more detail on the job protection laws. So when we say paid family and medical leave, we're referring to a set of programs that provide cash benefits and a series of laws that protects a worker's job when they need to take leave. Benefits that are paid out by the New Jersey Department of Labor can cover leave for illness or injury, leave for pregnancy and childbirth recovery, for bonding time with a new child, for caring for a loved one, or coping with domestic or sexual violence. Employers must be covered. So most New Jersey employers are covered and must provide coverage under the law. So New Jersey employers are required to participate in these programs or provide employees with coverage through a private insurance plan. The federal government is exempt from the programs, and for temporary disability insurance, it is optional for local governments. So, for example, county governments, municipal governments, and school districts. Covered employees are required to set up payroll contributions for their employees. If they do not set up contributions and an employee feels like they are still covered, they can apply and still receive benefits if they were mistakenly not enrolled in those payroll contributions. So we encourage people to apply if they think they are qualified, and then we can go through the process of determining eligibility. Uh, Workers must meet eligibility requirements to receive benefits. So there are earnings requirements that must be met with a covered employer. You must meet those earning requirements can be found at myleavebenefits.nj.gov, and they're updated every year. So it slightly increases every year the amount of earnings that a worker is required to have to qualify for the program. Generally, employees working substantially outside of New Jersey are not covered, but we still encourage them to apply to determine their eligibility. A valid Social Security number is required in the application process. That is a requirement in the law itself. It is to receive benefits, you have to have a Social Security number in the application. And must meet the definition of an employee. So you must be a properly classified employee and not an independent contractor to receive benefits. And to learn more about misclassification and classification issues around independent contractors, you can go to myworkrights.nj.gov. For 2025, you must have worked 20 weeks, earning at least $303 weekly, or have earned a combined total of $15,200 in the base year that you're applying for benefits. And this amount can be from multiple employers. You don't have to earn those requirements or work those weeks with one employer.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so to qualify for benefits in 2025, you must have worked 20 weeks, earning at least $303 a week, or have earned a combined total of $15,200. And again, that can be
Thank
through
you.
multiple employments. It doesn't have to be with one employer. Benefits that workers can receive. So you can receive up to 85% of your average weekly wages at, up, but it is capped at a maximum amount. In 2025, the maximum weekly benefits paid out is $1,081 per week. You can see myleavebenefits.nj.gov for the annual adjustments. But like I said, for 2025, the weekly maximum benefit paid out is $1,081 per week. For temporary disability insurance, you can receive benefits for up to 26 weeks as certified by a medical professional. And then for family leave insurance, you can receive benefits for up to 12 weeks consecutively or 56 days of benefits if you take them intermittently. So for family leave insurance, you're allowed to take leave if say you're working full time and you want to take family leave insurance for 3 days a week to help to care for a loved one, you can do that, but you get 56 days instead of the 12 weeks if if you were to take it consecutively. The programs are funded through two different ways. So for temporary disability insurance, both employers and employees contribute to the cost of the program. Workers contribute through a deduction in their paycheck. And then for family leave insurance, the program is financed 100% by worker payroll deductions. Employers do not contribute to the cost of the program for family leave insurance. Employer requirements. So the law has some very specific requirements for employers. They must display TDI FLI posters in their workplace location that is in a place that is clearly visible to their employees. They must provide written notice of TDI and FLI when the employee is hired, requests information, or notifies an employer of their need to take leave. And they must report employees' quarterly earnings to the state. That's how um, the state can determine the rate of benefits that somebody should be paid out is through those quarterly reports. That's usually done through a payroll company for specific, especially for small businesses, though. We advise that employees keep track of notifications that an employee is receiving benefits, check for accuracy, and report discrepancy or inaccurate payments. And the employer does not play a role in the employee's application. So the entire application process for benefits, for TDIF a lot, for temporary disability insurance or family leave insurance, that is done by the employee only, and the employer is not a part of that process. How employers can help. So employers can help by keeping employees formed. You can use our toolkit and share our resources. So we have information at myleavebenefits.nj.gov/employer kit. They can assist employees with their application, but again, it's the employee's responsibility to submit a completed application. There's not a direct role for the employer in the application, but that doesn't stop them from helping their employees apply. They can direct employees to the application and information on our website about filing a claim. They can pay employees the difference between the benefit rate and their regular wages. So an employee would indicate on this on their application. And then they can become familiar with and follow state and federal job protection laws as well. So those are the ways that employers can help employees understand their benefits and protections as it relates to paid leave. So let's now review some of the scenarios which employees may receive temporary disability and family leave benefits. So caring for themselves. So this would be the temporary disability insurance program. So if an employee cannot work due to a physical or mental health condition, including pregnancy and childbirth recovery, they may receive up to 26 weeks of benefits through the temporary disability insurance program. Now, when they apply for this, and they apply for a certain amount of time of leave, it needs to be certified by a medical professional. So there's a process in the application when you apply for temporary disability insurance where your medical professional has to certify your need for leave. Caring for a loved one. So if you need to take leave to care for a loved one, this would be the family leave insurance program. So if an employee cannot work because they are caring for a loved one with a physical or a mental health condition, or caring for a loved one who is coping with domestic or sexual violence, they would apply for the program through and apply for family leave insurance. This may or may not require a medical certification depending on the exact situation. But that is the program you would go through if you need to take leave to care for a loved one. And you can care for a loved one regardless of their immigration status. We do not need to verify the status of the loved one being taken care of in order to receive benefits for the person applying. The duration for family leave insurance, again, that's up to 12 weeks of benefits if it's taken all at once or consecutively, or it can be for 56 days or 8 weeks of total benefits if you take the leave intermittently. So if you only take a few days a week or a couple days a week instead of taking 5 days off of work or whatever your previous normal schedule was, you can get 56 days or 8 weeks of leave. Caring for another one, so caring for a loved one. So, who is considered a family member under the law? So, the law has a pretty broad definition of family member. So, this includes a child, whether that's biological, adopted, foster, or stepchild. It includes a spouse, including a domestic partner or a civil union partner. It includes parents, siblings, grandparents, grandchildren, in-laws, any blood relation to the claimant, so the person applying to receive benefits. It includes chosen family, and it includes any other individual with a close association equivalent of a family relationship. Benefits for new parents, temporary disability and family leave insurance. So typical benefits for a birthing parent without complications. So this is a typical journey or a typical amount of time somebody might go on if they are a birthing parent and they apply for leave through our paid family and medical leave programs. So you could apply for 4 weeks of pregnancy leave leading up to the due date. Um, then once the child is born, you would get another 6 to 8 weeks for recovery, 6 weeks for vaginal birth, 8 weeks for a C-section. Both of those would be under our temporary disability program. And then once you've gone through that leave, once you've had the 4 weeks leading up to pregnancy, the 6 to 8 weeks for recovery, you can get additional 12 weeks for bonding or 56 days for intermittent leave under the family leave insurance program. So you can get a total up to 24 weeks of paid leave for a birthing parent without complications. Now, if there are complications with the birth and you need more time for recovery, you can extend the temporary disability time and you can get even more time for paid leave. And we know this can be complicated, especially for new mothers who are dealing with a lot of different, doctor's visits and dealing with a big change in their life. And then we throw these programs, which are complicated. There are two different cash benefits programs. There are a bunch of laws that protect jobs. So we have this maternity timeline tool that helps birthing parents and mothers understand the programs and their coverage. So you can go in, it's an interactive tool. They plug in due dates, they plug in a bunch of information about when they're going on leave and their employment, and it tells them what, um, estimates their dates for the programs and gives them information about their leave. So it's a really helpful interactive tool. And that tool is at myleavebenefits.nj.gov/timeline. Another scenario is bonding with a new child. So this is, again, family leave insurance. So both parents can receive family leave insurance benefits to bond with a child within a year of the child's birth, adoption, or foster placement. And again, that can be up to 12 weeks of benefits if you take it all at once, or 56 days or 8 weeks if you take it intermittently or scattered over time. And then another scenario in which you can take temporary disability or family leave insurance is to cope with domestic or sexual violence. So, an employee can take family leave benefits to cope with sexual or domestic violence, such as seeking medical attention, therapy, victim advocacy, or legal services. They could take it for safety planning or to escaping abuse, such as staying in a domestic violence shelter, or attending or preparing for court. I must apply on paper, though, for family leave insurance to cope with domestic violence and sexual violence. And employees can also receive temporary disability benefits as certified by a medical provider if that is also a need for a survivor of DVSV. And more information can be found at myleavebenefits.nj.gov/survivors. Unemployment, temporary disability, and family leave insurance. So there are specific ways that unemployment insurance interacts with our temporary disability and family leave insurance programs. So unemployed workers may be eligible for family leave during unemployment or disability during unemployment. These can be very complicated cases. So if you encounter a worker who you feel like might fall under one of these cases, you should feel free to reach out to our team and we can help you navigate those processes of transitioning a worker from unemployment insurance to family leave or disability during unemployment. Um, and if you're interested in learning more, if you feel like you're going to have a lot of interaction with this population of folks, you can find more information at myleafbenefits.nj.gov/unemployed. And our team is also helping to set up some additional time to talk through those specific programs. Um, Workers can apply for unemployment benefits if they are laid off when receiving paid leave benefits as well. So it works both ways. If you're unemployed, uh, and you need to transition to one of the programs, or if you're one of the programs and you get laid off, there's a process in place to transition from one program to the next. Family leave for part-time employees. So employees with multiple jobs may receive family leave benefits if they only take leave from one employer. They cannot exceed their usual work schedule in those jobs, though. Employees with multiple jobs may receive family leave benefits if they take leave from more than one employer, and benefit rate is based on the wages from the employment from which they are taking leave. Injured at work. So this is a little bit of information that tells you the difference between temporary disability and workers' compensation. So temporary disability benefits cover non-work related illnesses or injury. Workers' compensation benefits cover work-related illness or injury. The worker should notify their employer immediately if they are injured on the job. And the employer's insurance carrier determines if a worker is eligible to receive workers' compensation benefits. If a worker is determined not to be eligible, they can file a claim to contest the decision with the New Jersey Department of Labor. And you can find more information about that at nj.gov/labor/WC. Tips for applying. So it can take a number of weeks to get approved or denied for benefits. So we encourage people to plan ahead to the best of their ability. To speed up the process, make sure you don't miss any of the requirements in the application when applying. You can also view an application guide at myleafbenefits.nj.gov/appvideos. We recommend applying online, but you may also apply via mail or fax. You can have a trusted person help you fill out the application. For temporary disability insurance, you can list a representative on your application who can help you file for the benefits. And then you could also follow up with your medical provider to ensure they are submitting their portion of the application when it is required to receive the benefits. After you apply, we encourage people to read the What Happens After I Apply webpage. So you can find this at myleafbenefits.nj.gov/status. You can check the status of your claim online to find out if it's been reviewed yet and approved or denied. Uh, you can also reach out to our Division of Temporary Disability and Family Leave Insurance if you have questions. The phone number is here on the screen. Um, Wait times tend to be a little quicker in the second half of the week. So Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays tend to be easier to get through to folks, but we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to speed up wait times at our call centers. The call center menu is in English and Spanish, and we have Spanish speaking agents. For other languages, though, agents will conference in people through our language line vendor and to provide that interpretation. Some just additional information about how to contact us. We have our fax number here. We have a contact us form at the myleafbenefits.nj.gov/email. We can support hearing impaired customers as well. And then just information on telecommunication devices for the deaf and hard of hearing. Here's additional sort of numbers to reach and set up those kind of support services around claims. And for debit card help, we have the myleafbenefits.nj.gov/payment webpage where you can find information there, or you can call the vendor number at 888-292-0059. How you'll get paid. So we pay benefits using a prepaid debit card. So we mail out a prepaid debit card to claimants when they're approved. So step one is to check the mail. Once your application is approved, it will be mailed a Money Network / My Banking Direct prepaid Visa card in a plain envelope with Omaha, Nebraska as the return address. Once you get the card, you'll have to activate it, and then you'll use the card wherever Visa is accepted. Debit card help, again, is at that information I provided on the previous slide. So, private plans. So as I mentioned earlier, for employers can choose to provide benefits through a private plans instead of the state plan. These plans must be approved by the Division of Temporary Disability and Family Leave Insurance, and they have to offer the same or better benefits than the state provides. So private plans are more common for temporary disability insurance than they are for family leave insurance. About a third of New Jersey workers are covered under private plans for temporary disability insurance purposes. Uh, we You should contact your employer's HR department to learn more about how to apply directly with the insurer to avoid delays. If you apply through New Jersey Department of Labor's application by mistake, it could take a few weeks to get redirected back to your private insurer plan, and it could just cause you delays with getting your benefits. Sometimes private insurers also deny claims that should be eligible. If a worker feels like they were wrongly denied, or they were not given their full benefits that they are owed, they can work with they can work with the insurer to correct this. You have 1 year to appeal the insurer's decision with us. So you can send your appeal by mail or online to the New Jersey Department of Labor, and you can contact us by this link on the slide. And as I said, we'll share out the slides with everybody, so you'll get a copy to that link, and you'll just fill out an online form if you feel like you were wrongfully denied or not given your full benefits, and then the Department of Labor will look into the insurer's decision. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca Glynn, who's going to cover some information about job protections, um, as well as other ways grantees can be supportive.
Thanks, David. It's so great to be with you guys. I see so many new folks in the room, some folks I'm familiar with. So my name's Rebecca. I'm a senior policy manager in the outreach office, and you might hear from me when you have questions about paid family and medical leave and some other benefits and programs as you go through the grant term. So I'll be excited to work with you this year. I'm gonna briefly cover job protection for you guys, and then how you can support clients with paid family and medical leave, and then we'll go into questions. So we are almost done. Okay, so like David said, temporary disability and family leave insurance do not provide job protection. These are the cash benefit programs we administer, the Department of Labor administers. They do not guarantee your job is protected while you're receiving cash benefits, but your job could be protected under related state and federal laws. So the next slide is an overview of what these laws are. Great. So this is a high-level overview. So your job could be protected under the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA. This is enforced by the U.S. Department of Labor. The New Jersey Family Leave Act, the New Jersey Division on Civil, enforced by the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, as well as the New Jersey SAFE Act. You can learn more about these programs on our website, and I'll go into some detail now. But the great news is that we have a new resource for you all. That's the Job Protection Coverage Checker. We made this in partnership with the Office of Innovation and the Division on Civil Rights. So this is Office of Innovation is the same group that created the maternity timeline tool, if you're familiar with it. And this is a tool offered in English and Spanish, and you can answer a few questions about your work situation, and then it estimates the type of job protection you could be covered under for your leave. So this is a really great resource for you guys to play around with, to learn about leave, and as well as to direct the folks that you work with as they're figuring out their situation. But I'll go over a little bit about the laws, what went into this job protection checker. So the first law is the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act. This is, like I said, is enforced by the U.S. Department of Labor, the federal government. So this is a national policy. And so So the Federal Family Medical Leave Act provides up to 12 weeks of job protected leave in a 12-month period. You can use this to care for your own illness or injury, including pregnancy and recovering from pregnancy. You can use this to care for certain family members, so your spouse, your child, or a parent, parent-in-law that has a serious health condition. And then you can also use it for bonding leave. The To be eligible to be covered under this job protection law, your employer has to be of a certain size. So 50 or more and in a 75-mile radius. Next slide. 50 or more in a 75-mile radius, um, or a government entity of any size. You have to work there for a certain amount of time. So you would have had to work there for 12 months and 1,250 hours in the past 12 months. And there's also notice requirements. So you'll see here, so for job protection, and this is true for all job protection laws, it's about your employer size and how long you've worked there. That's different from the cash benefits, right? Where it's based on earnings. It's based on earnings and not employer size. It actually doesn't have much to do with your current employer, just the earnings, your history of earnings. So that's something important to note. On the next slide, we'll cover the New Jersey Family Leave Act. So this is enforced by the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights. So this is a state level law. And employees can receive up to 12 weeks of job protected leave every 24 months. This is for caring for a newborn, newly adopted, or foster child. And also caring for a family member, anyone you consider to be family. So the definition of family is as broad as family leave insurance. So you'll note in the previous law, with certain family members, this one's a lot broader. There's also some special public health emergency uses. And so to be covered under this law, your employer, it has to be 30 or more employees worldwide. Next slide. 30 or more employees worldwide. You've had to work there for 12 months and at least 1,000 hours in the past 12 months. So this one covers more employees in New Jersey than the Federal Family Medical Leave Act because it applies to smaller employers. You don't have to have worked there as long, etc. And there's also notice requirements as well. So David mentioned how maternity leave, if you're a birthing parent, you could receive temporary disability and family leave insurance. I'm going to cover that again because for job protection, you could receive two types of job protections as well. So it can be pretty confusing. So if you've met the eligibility requirements for our cash benefit programs, like David said, you could first receive temporary disability insurance benefits to care for your own condition, so for being pregnant and then recovering from childbirth. When you're medically unable to work, you could receive temporary disability insurance. And then when you're recovered, you could transition to family leave insurance for bonding. So that could be like 22 weeks, right? On the next slide, it shows that you could receive job protection under the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act when you yourself are pregnant and recovering from childbirth, so you're medically unable to work. And then while you transition to when you're recovered and you're ready to start bonding, your job could be protected under the New Jersey Family Leave Act. So you can see how these programs, you can kind of stack them to ideally have your job protected while you're receiving cash benefits the entire time. We do have a handout that covers the maternity experience because it is quite confusing. I would say it's the most confusing one because there are so many programs that you interact with, but the same concept applies for other types of leave as well. The last type of job protection I'll talk about is the New Jersey SAFE Act. Employees can receive up to 20 days of job protected leave if you're coping with domestic or sexual violence, or if you're caring for a loved one who's coping with domestic or sexual violence. This applies to employers with 25 or more employees and any government agency. If you believe your right to job protection under the SAFE Act is being violated, you can take private legal action. And we have more information about this and the poster that explains this on our job protection webpage. Uh, while our cash benefit programs do not guarantee that your job is protected, the law does have anti-retaliation provisions into it. So an employer is not allowed to retaliate against you for taking or seeking to take your benefits. Retaliation can look like a lot of things. It can include firing, reducing your salary, increasing oversight, changing responsibilities, different things like that. And if retaliation occurs, you can take private legal action. Um, Another law just to be aware of as someone is taking leave is the New Jersey law against discrimination. So under this law, employers are not allowed to discriminate employees based on a variety of protected classes like race, ethnicity, country of origin, gender, etc. Um, and because of that, they also have to make reasonable accommodations for things like disabilities, pregnancy, and breastfeeding. So, uh, as an employee is taking leave, if they're having experiencing other issues related to their employer, and it could be the case of discrimination, this is just something to consider. And this is also enforced by the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, not the Department of Labor, but we have more information on our website. Um, and I just see a question in the chat, and I'm just going to answer it now. Certainly, you wouldn't be expected to know all this information while you're doing outreach. And I think, especially when it comes to job protection, you just have to have the general idea that it's based on employer size and how long you've worked there. And the coverage tool can kind of help you navigate the details of that. Okay, so um, these next slides are the slides that are related. These are the slides that are for our internal training purposes. These aren't really meant for external outreach. So um, this is what David was talking about. So you'll receive a version that doesn't include these slides for your outreach, but you'll receive these slides too for your internal training. So we're going to go over how you can assist clients with paid family and medical leave. So to begin, we encourage you and your clients to review our website. It has a lot of different information and FAQs on these programs that can help navigate them and plan. And we also have these application videos, which David mentioned, that walk through the online application and how to answer each question, etc. For birthing parents, our new parent guide and maternity timeline tool are really helpful resources to be aware of as you're figuring out and planning your maternity leave. As care grantees, you are always able to help folks complete their application accurately because that will help prevent delays in applications. Getting inaccurate information would require follow-up and can cause additional delays. So we encourage you to help complete the application accurately. Right now, it's only available in English, but you're definitely able to provide interpretation and translation support to support claimants. And our new job protection checker is also a great resource to point claimants to help point clients to help them navigate these programs. For temporary disability insurance, when you're applying, you can list a representative either on the online application or paper, and this person is able to call in and receive claimant information about that person's claim. We can't just like give out claim information to anyone that calls in. So this is a great way. If you're listed as a representative, you'd be able to call in and help that claimant. So it's something to keep in mind. That's not an option for family leave insurance at this time. Uh, and you can also show clients how to use the online claim status tool. We just revised it, so it has some clear information. It's on our homepage, and this way they can keep track of where their claim is in the process. David reviewed our call center information. It's available in English and Spanish. You'll get through the fastest on Wednesdays through Fridays, but you should still be able to get through on Mondays and Tuesdays as well. Something to know about claims processing, we process them on a first come, first served basis. When someone submits a claim, that individual is in line. Uh, with an online application, claimants will receive confirmation right away that we received their application, and it also prevents claimants from accidentally skipping questions. And they can be processed faster, so we definitely encourage online applications. David mentioned this, but for disability claims for disability applications and caregiving applications, there's a medical provider portion, and we need that portion to process the claim. And if a medical provider takes more than 10 days from when we received the claim to provide that information, it can cause delays. So it's really important that a claimant stays on top of their medical provider to submit that information that we request, and you can also help advocate for that. Uh, advocate for that. David mentioned it can take weeks to get approved, get your application approved, And so it's important that claimants don't miss anything on their application and they complete the medical portion when required. Uh, we do our best to reach a decision as fast as possible, but claimants should plan ahead that it could take some weeks to get paid. Applications can be started early. For certain types of leave, you can draft an application early, but you can't officially submit it until your first day of leave. And so remind claimants who draft their application early to go back and submit on their first day of leave. We have more information about this on our application videos. We are working to improve our claimant experience and our claims processing system. We hope to provide updates to you as soon as possible on some of these different initiatives. And we're also partnering with our Office of Innovation on additional tools and processes to help improve claimant experience. We talked about some of those things throughout, like the maternity coverage tool, the job protection tool, et cetera. And then you can find our outreach materials on our website, nj.gov/labor/care. That's where you'll find all our outreach materials, but there's a drop down specifically for our paid leave materials. And David will go over this, but we can print and mail those to you for your outreach purposes. So, okay, we're gonna transition to questions. I know that was a lot of information. I think you should feel free to unmute yourself or write in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Rebecca. Good to see you. This is Sierra. I have a question. I forget. So I know that the applications are in English only. Is the correspondence from DOL in English only as well?
Our call center has an identical experience for English and Spanish. So like when you call in, you can select one for Spanish and then talk to a Spanish speaking agent. Any like forms that you get from us would be all in English.
Okay, that's important to know.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And just reiterating the answer to Amanda's question, understanding these programs fully takes a long time. It took me a year to be able to really give this presentation. So we definitely don't expect you to know all the ins and outs, just
Yeah,
high level that.
I'll just reiterate what Rebecca's saying too. I've been at DOL for 2.5 years and I'm still learning all the nuances of the program. So part of the goal, one of the objectives in this grant program is to build your capacity as community-based organizations to understand these programs. So we invest a lot of time into like doing these trainings and providing materials and providing support. And as you're doing your outreach and questions come up, feel free to like come to us with those questions. And we'll happy to help you understand the programs and the laws.
Yeah, thank you for answering that because when I was looking at all this, I was like, whoa, are we gonna have to know all this? So thank you. Thank you.
If there are other questions, feel free to come off mute, raise your hand, drop them in the chat. We're happy to hang out here and just answer questions for a bit. We also have, but that was the end of the training itself. We also have our post-award session starting at 1 o'clock. That'll go from 1 to about 3:34. And yeah, we're just feel free to ask any questions you have about the program. I see somebody physically put their hand up. I think Cheryl.
Sorry, I'm like looking for the
No, it's okay.
raise hand thing. I just wondered if you had any insight into why the application for survivors for support has to be in paper rather than
Yeah,
online.
I can provide that. Uh, when benefits were expanded for survivors, we still had the old tech and were unable to add that option to the online application. So it's just a technology limitation. So if you were like to select caregiving leave, you'd have to provide medical information. If so, bonding leave, there's not an option to provide the correct documentation. So it's a technological limitation, and it's unfortunate and something we're working on. So yeah, it's not a great answer, but that is the answer.
That was just going to be my follow-up. Is there any plan to adjust the online form? But you
We
say
are
you're looking.
yeah, we're in the process of like replacing it. And so, but that, takes time. Um, so as we have updates, we'll keep you posted. Shara, what organization are you from?
Thank you. I'm sorry. Normally it's on here. I'm with New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence.
Oh, great to meet you. Great.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to come off mute. Like I said, use the chat function, raise your hand if you have questions. If not, and there are no additional questions, you can feel free to jump off the call and return at 1 o'clock for our post-award session. That'll be an opportunity to meet some folks from the Department of Labor, from our leadership. We'll also have people that work in the divisions themselves too. We'll spend some time meeting folks. We'll go over all of the um, grants management details that you need for the year. So how to manage the state contract, how to submit expense reports, program reports, how to get content reviewed and approved, what outreach materials we have available, et cetera, et cetera. And then we will also spend some time in breakout groups. And we'll also give you like a summary of where the impact of the CARE grant has been so far. Sarah, I see your hand is raised though, so I'll stop talking.
Oh, I didn't mean to
No,
interject.
no, go.
I can after everyone hops off, can I just ask you and Rebecca a quick question specific to the coalition after everyone leaves?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I also, my executive director knows this, but I will not be on for the full meeting this afternoon due
Okay.
to, so just if you could just send me, as I said this morning, just send me the recording.
Okay.
Just so I know what we're expected to do. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I see a hand up.
Yes, it was me. So this is specifically for the fathers. So when the dads come in and they want to apply for like FLI or TDI, like they have to apply exactly when the child is born, right? And then that's when they continue with the process, or when do they apply specifically?
So, well, it someone can take benefits right once a child is born, starting on that child's birthday. You have 1 year to take your family leave insurance benefits for bonding. So some parents might do like the mom takes bonding, and then once the mom returns to work, dad takes bonding, or the second parent takes bonding to provide more childcare. Some parents want to do it together. It's really up to the parents. In terms of the timing of the actual application, you can draft your application. I think it's 30 days in advance, could be 60 days in advance. You can draft your application early, but you can't submit it until the first day of leave. So the day once dad wants to start, dad can draft their application early, and once their leave starts and the first day they're not working, their leave starts, they can go back in and hit submit and certify their application.
Perfect. Thank you.
And what was your name? I see Eve or
Eve.
Eve, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.